Welcome to Toffee TV. It's the final word of the season. Yes.
Get in there.
Sarah Halpern from the Blue Room. She's here to criticise Big Sam, who looks like he's going as well.
Where's the champers, Ped? I know I don't drink, but I feel like we should be doing something to celebrate this.
What would be the alternative?
Like a Capri Sun.
Capri Sun? No, because that's really sticky.
It is.
Ah, and there'd be wasps all around it.
Maybe a sparkling water. We'll go for a sparkling water.
If you know the alternative to champagne that's non-alcoholic and also very cheap,
get at us.
It's like, that's like, you know, when you're watching Man City spraying it all around them, you think, could have bought a new player with that. Well, you couldn't have, we could have. Anyway, let's get into this. Final game of the season, West Ham away. I don't know about you, but I wasn't too confident going into this game. Just because I thought, and as we discussed on the match preview, as well as a lot of Willy Wonka chat, which was really weird, but we did that. We thought,
one of them seasons, hasn't it?
It has. But one of the things for me, certainly, was that I didn't think the team would get themselves up for this game.
Yeah.
And they didn't.
They didn't. It's what we kind of all expected, I think, from the last game of the season. We knew we'd finished 8th, or it's pretty well guaranteed anyway.
It nearly wasn't.
Yeah, what a mad game that was.
I know.
So at least there was something worth watching on Match of the Day on Sunday. So that was a great game, and of course that meant we finished 8th, yeah. Which apparently, coming from the club and captain, is supposedly something to be celebrating, which we know it's not. And yeah, they just struggled to get themselves up for the game. It was a strange formation as well, wasn't it, that he went with, kind of like the 3 at the back, and Keane again. We'll go on to talk about him, but the defence, Ped, was just anonymous, wasn't it? It was embarrassing. Watching it back, watching it at the time, it's just embarrassing. And you think Lanzini, particularly his second goal and Arnautovic's goal, it was a fantastic strike, but it's just too easy, isn't it? It's too easy. We're letting teams play. We're letting teams do these things.
Again, me and Baz discussed Arnautovic. We made Arnautovic look amazing, and he's a good footballer, but he's like one of those lads that he's like Morales basically. His attitude is just like, well, when I can be arsed, I'll be arsed, and we made him look really good. But going back to what you're saying there about formation, we started with 3-5-2. And again, me and Baz had discussed this in the preview, maybe want to see a little bit different, but we're the only team who can go 2 up front and still look really negative. Because yeah, we've got 3 centre backs, obviously wing backs. Do they suit it? I'm not so sure. No. And then 3 in midfield who are all, not saying they're all negative players, because I wouldn't say Tom Davies is a negative player, but there was no one in there who's going to help open up a side.
Yeah.
And so really, even though we went 2 up front, see, this is the thing that you always try and get across about Sam Allardyce, whether you like him or not. And some people do like him, and because I've seen in the comments from the game, we went 2 up front, what you want, or but it's, if you set a team up, you could have 11 strikers on the pitch. That would be stupid. But if you ask them all to defend for 90 minutes, it doesn't make a difference.
Exactly.
It's the mentality, what you ask your team to do. And even though it was 3-5-2, we were still really negative.
Yeah.
And that for me was the foundation in which we lost the game.
Yeah, completely. So stale. And it was like we had no midfield.
Yeah.
It really is, and it's been like that for a lot of the season. There doesn't seem to be set positions, and that's a bang on point that you've just made there. You put 11 strikers on and tell them to defend. That's what they're going to do. There was no desire yet again, and we're saying this after almost every game. No fight, no desire. I mean, Cenk tossing up front had no service whatsoever. I think Nias always seems to be able to make things happen, which is a credit to him, I think, the way he's been treated. And if you'd have told me at the start of the season that Nias would have been our 2nd highest Premier League scorer, I'd have just laughed in your face. But actually, out of the team, he was looking to make things sort of happen yesterday. But other than that, the way we set up everything, like you said, Tom Davies is the player there that you'd look to try and make things happen, but then you've got Garner, you've got Schneidlin. I would have quite liked to have seen Davy Klaassen thrown in, to be honest, because what have we got to lose?
What have we got to lose?
Nothing.
Well, again, we start from the back. 3 at the back. I can't help think that he's playing 3. He's been playing 3 at the back, or he's tried to play 3 at the back in the last few weeks at various points because he wants to give Funes Mori game time.
Yeah,
which is fine. I've got no problem with that. But why not just start him then as a centre back? Why not just say take Keane out of it? Keane's not going to go to the World Cup.
Oh, he can't,
because he's had an horrendous season. And I'm not asked about England, but if England were to pick Michael Keane, I'd just think, why would you do that? Because he's been horrendous. So you just say to Keane, listen, you're not playing this game. He's playing. You tell him why. Playing next to Jags, and we get on with it. And you let Funes Mori play, but he doesn't. He goes for this 3 at the back, which doesn't suit anybody. Doesn't suit Jags, because I think when you play 3 at the back, it means that players have got to start the centre. We've seen this before. Centre backs don't quite if they don't play it, they start following players round, which is what you're not supposed. And that's where the first goal comes from. Jags follows Lanzini out because he doesn't know what to do with him. Keane's like a robot, right? That has got a certain program. As soon as it gets derailed from that program, it's fucked. Basically, just clashes.
He needs people to hold his hand through games, and we can't have that going forward. There's huge question marks over Keane. I think we've spoken about this before, Ped, about like wanting him to do well. We all want him to do well. He's an Everton player, and you're like, oh, he's English and he seems like a nice lad, but it's gone on too long. It's been a whole season of that wanting, and if he's got Jags next to him and Baines and stuff, and people to hold his hand through it and talk him play by play what he should be doing, then he kind of scrapes by. But in that back, just in the back 3, he's lost. He's completely lost.
You've got to simplify for him. And then next to him is Funes Mori, who's been out, who I don't particularly think is a very good player anyway, and I've generally always had that view of him. I just think he's erratic. We've seen that a few times.
He's scared when he plays.
But he has come back from a long-term injury, so you've got to do the best for him as well. And that system doesn't do the best for anybody, though, because you've got, as I say, you've got Jags, who's an aging defender who wants to just do one job. You've got Keane, like you just said, needs his hand holding for the entire game, wants everything simplified for him. At Burnley last year was at his best in a 4-4-2. Had a guy next to him who played with every single week, had a fullback next to him every single week, knew the game inside and out, so you have to simplify it. And in Funes Mori, you've got someone who's come back from injury and is also erratic. So, and you've also got a system that we've played like 1.5 times or something like that recently, so it doesn't feel like it's something that's been worked on. It doesn't seem like it helps. And then what you've got then in wing backs, you've got 2 lads who, let's say 7 or 8 years ago, would have been the absolute perfect wing backs if you wanted wing backs.
Definitely.
But not anymore.
Yeah, well, they're getting on, aren't they?
Well, you've got Baines on one side, who, again, he wants to be comfortable in his position. He knows playing left back inside and out. Knows it inside and out, right? You ask him to sort of play a little bit further up the field, he doesn't. It's not his job. He doesn't know how to. Seamus is the same, and I wouldn't say Seamus is the same because of his age. I just think. I remember when Seamus played right wing for a little bit for Everton, and everyone thought it was the way to go because we had a right back and we didn't have a right wing, and everyone was like, "This will be perfect." He played right wing and he didn't have a clue. Because he's so good at playing attacking right back and coming round the back, using the midfielder and getting round the side of the, and he does it so well because he comes late. But when he was playing right midfield, he suddenly like squared up to the fullback, and he didn't have the tricks and the skills to beat him. And I think it's the same at wing back. He doesn't quite know where to go. He's 28 now or 29, whatever. He's been playing in a system. You just can't throw players into systems and go on, lads. And I think that's what we did on Saturday, and it just, for me, it derailed any of the sort of good stuff, because we've been, let's be honest, we've been reasonably decent at the back recently, you know. Last week we were okay apart from one miss. Well, in a 3 we the week before at Huddersfield we were fine. We've been okay, and that's what's been getting us wins, because clean sheets, if you're only going to have a couple of shots on target to score from 1, you need clean sheets, so we've been doing okay. But to go into this 3 is just, joke.
It really is.
So accommodate Funes Mori, by the way.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I think that was his first start in over a year or something, and you do feel like the last few games he's been getting more and more game time, and I do think that's exactly right. You can see Allardyce, can't you? Well, he's an Argentinian international, can't have him on the bench kind of thing, but...
Which is fine. Play him, just don't play Keane.
Yeah, no, that's it. It's players all season long have been played out of position, and it's detrimental to them, as you said. You know, the last game of the season, it's a time of change. We all know Allardyce is going to be gone. Now it's being reported that it will be in the next 24 hours. So, but it would have been just good to try and go out on some sort of high, retain any kind of confidence or whatever, instead of this mess in which we've been left.
So what you've basically got there, though, you've basically got 5 defenders. You haven't got 3-5-2. You've got 5.
Yeah.
So you go into the midfield and you've got Sneijder and Garner, and you know exactly what you're going to get out of them. Sneijder's not mobile enough, and Garner just runs around chasing fires. And then you've got Tom Davies, who isn't in good form really. Doesn't really know what his role is in this team.
Yeah.
And he's doing the same thing. He's running around trying to chase fires, and then you're away from home and you're looking for some kind of creativity, and it's not there. You've got 2 lads up front for me who are both goal scorers. Not they don't create. Nias dropped off a little bit, but he's not going to create. I mean, really, he should have put us 1-0 up.
Yeah, he should have. He could have had a hat-trick, couldn't he, yesterday, to be honest?
He should have buried that first chance he got, you know, after Pickford made a couple of great saves. He should have buried that.
Yeah,
but he's not going to drop off. So he will chase and he will harry and he will try and make things happen. But again, then he needs, like, intelligent balls.
He's not a playmaker, is he?
No, he's not. No.
We didn't have that playmaker on the field. We haven't all season.
For a team that started off with more number 10s than it could fucking swing a cat at, we've ended up the season with no number 10s.
Yeah.
You know, obviously Sigurdsson's still injured, Rooney injured, and Klassen on the bench. So it just, again, where the fuck's Vlasic, by the way?
They bring him out, and how cruel is that on the lad as well? That's the worst thing you could do, is bring him in to play a game and a half, little cameos here and there, the odd. In some games he's put on for the last 5 minutes, which I just think is almost insulting, to be honest. But you can't bring the lad in, give him a bit of game time, then throw him back out again. That's the worst thing, because you're stopping and stalling him, put him in the cupboard now again, till you know, will we ever see him again?
Who knows? Next time we see him. No, it's indicative of Allardyce though. Last game of the season, and there's nothing inventive about it. There's no imagination. There's nothing that gets anyone excited. There's no one that changes the narrative. There's nothing. It's all same old. There's no, like, don't get me wrong, I didn't want to see a team of like 11 under 23s or something. I just wanted to see either some variation or someone else get a chance, because players were missing. Like, what, I get, Walcott was on the bench. Why is Walcott on the bench if he's fit?
He's a starter. We missed him the other day, didn't we?
We've missed him in both of the final 2 games. If he's there, he's a threat. He starts making the opposition think about what they're doing. And what we didn't have on the pitch on Sunday were any players who actually made them think, oh, he's a threat, I can't go forward. So they were really comfortable on the ball. They just kept the ball. I midfield had to chase around, and that's all they did. We're not inventive enough. We don't have players on the pitch who are inventive. And this is weird. I think this is the biggest problem with what the fans have got with Allardyce, is there's no I know people say, well, you know what you get, but I don't know what you get.
No,
there's no defined way, is there, to play under Allardyce. There was no threat. There was no, like, well, we're going to go long ball and Cenk Tosun's going to flick it onto Nias. There was nothing. And I think that's where the frustration comes from the fans.
Yeah, and I think actually you do know what you're going to get, but you don't. What you know you're going to get is shit, but you just don't know what variation of shit you're going to be served up on any given day.
You know what? That should be on a t-shirt, that statement. Profound words of wisdom there. No, you're right. It's, as I say, that's the frustration. I know. Listen, it's the last game of the season. No one's going to be ranting and raving about it. But, well, so I sort of am ranting.
We're ranting.
But it's just the lack of inventfulness, and obviously we went 1-0 behind, a really poor goal to concede. Jags gets dragged out, No one fills the space. You know, the ball ends up with Lanzini.
It's the easiness of it as well. It's like the you know, the passing around in the box and stuff. We're just standing off them. Like, they may as well not be there.
That just comes, though, for me, from players who just don't know how to play the system. They don't know where to be, and they don't know. And that runs to a whole team. If you suddenly say to a team, right, lads, we're playing 3-5-2, everyone just goes, well, hang on, I've been struggling to do my job all season. Now you're asking me to change my job. I think that's where I just, you know, that's where it comes from. Half time, he obviously makes a change. He brings Davy Klassen on, but it didn't really change anything, because it just, again, you're asking a kid lad who's hardly played football for an entire season to come on and do something and get into the pace of a game, and he never really did. And it was only, from our point of view, I think it was only when Walcott came on that suddenly we had a threat. Obviously we were 2-0 down by then, but that was he suddenly created a threat, and we obviously got a goal. But again, that shows you need players like Walcott, to someone who just scares the opposition.
That's exactly it, isn't it? Like, whenever you've got the likes of Walcott on the pitch, the opposition's always going to think this lad can turn and run at us and whip a ball in, have a shot, whatever it is. He is dangerous. Without him on the pitch, we missed him so much the first half the other day, and the previous game as well, because nothing was happening whatsoever. And it's worrying, really, that he is kind of the only player at the moment that you look to create, if you like. Well,
he is like the definitive player you need to buy. You need to buy players who are a threat that the opposition is scared of. You can go out and buy as many sort of nice, pretty, you know, players who are comfortable on the ball, but you need players who are an actual threat. That's the difference in the Premier League. You know, you look at the top team, they've all got players that I don't want to play against him. Or when they're not there, you go, oh, made up, he's not there. Like last week Southampton and this week West Ham, they would have gone, oh, made up, Walcott's not playing. They probably would have gone and made up, Rooney's not playing as well. I think that's sometimes where you've got to take a step back and say, who would I not like to be playing it up, you know, who would I like to be up against? And you look at our team and go, I'm not really that fussed. If I was a West Ham fan, I'd be like, yeah, we're going to beat these today.
There's no one on the pitch where you go, oh, we've got to watch out for him today. Like you said, you go, oh, you've got to watch out for... In the end, he did score with Umar on the ass. And like you said, they're finishers, they're strikers. They can hit a ball and they know where the net is. But if they've got no one to make things happen for them, then they're not going to score.
That's it, isn't it? That's the Premier League and top and bottom. It's you can have a Cenk Tosun, but I'm not gonna. If I'm the opposition, I'm not gonna sit there and look at Cenk Tosun and go, he's gonna hurt us today, because I'm thinking, just don't get him get the ball. I suppose that's the difference between someone like Arnautovic. He does it sporadically, but before the game, I even tweeted Arnautovic is going to score today, because you just I felt like personally they'll allow him enough time on the ball that he will, and he did. You know, we'll talk about the goal in a minute, but we just don't have enough of those players, and that's what we need to do this summer, is go and find those players and get to the heart of the matter and say, you know what we miss? Actual dangerous play. That's the most frustrating thing about Ademola Lookman not being around, is that I look at Balassi, and as much as I want Balassi to do well, I look at him at the current state of things and go, you're not going to do it for us, because when you get the ball, I don't feel like you scare the opposition.
No.
Whereas Lookman, I look at him and I've always thought this, is that if you've got your head on, you can scare those players. It's more down to what you do. But I think it's getting that thought in the first place. Well, this lad's good, and we don't have enough of those players, and that's what we've got to go and do this summer, I think.
Yeah, definitely. That's a bang on point there as well about Yannick Bolasie. I think we all really want him to do well, because he's a nice guy, and it's like he's really happy that he's playing football and stuff.
We spent a shitload of money on him as well.
Exactly, 30 million. And, you know, don't get me wrong, I'm delighted that he's come back from his injury for him, and, you know, because it was a real horror injury, and you always want to see players come back, but I'd struggle to think of him doing that much before the injury anyway. I know he didn't have that much time, but that point you raised so bang on. He doesn't scare the opposition. When I see him, I don't think, oh, he's going to tear them one today, and that's what you need him to do. When he used to play for Palace and he'd come to Goodison, I used to dread it, because he would tear us for bursts in the game, but it's just not been there anymore. And Lookman, he has got that, despite his age. He's a young kid, and that he comes on. He's got the confidence. He's got the. It's not like not an arrogance, I won't say, but he knows he's good, and he knows what he's capable of, and you can throw him on the big games. Look at him at Anfield. He comes on and he's taken on the team. The Liverpool fans were shitting themselves. I've got mates that are Reds that said, when he come on, we thought, you're going to do it, and he never played again.
That's where, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to go overboard out Lookman. He was a bit of a match of the day player, and where other people would go, why isn't he playing? And you'd have to go, well, I know you've seen him against Liverpool, but in other games he hasn't been great. But what we found, what it seems to have happened over at Leipzig, is that because he's had a run of games, he started to find that pace, which is what all young players need, I think. But I look at those top 6 teams in the Premier League, or certainly the top 5 anyway, and I go, oh, if you're playing against them, you go, fucking hell, you know, City, the whole team, United. Oh, they've got Lukaku and they've got him and they've got him. Liverpool, they go, fucking hell, look at that front 3.
Yeah.
You know.
Same with Tottenham.
Tottenham, you go Kane, Dele Alli, Eriksen. Arsenal or Chelsea, you go, well, they've got Giroud Canadian and Hazard Canadian, and you're always wary when those players get the ball. Arsenal, when they had Sanchez and Ozil, especially
Lacazette,
and Aubameyang now. You look at whereas Everton, you go, well, who's going to hurt? If I was opposition, who's going to hurt us? And you go, well, Walcott, generally by reputation of what he did for Arsenal, and obviously what he's done a little bit at Everton as well. But past that, you just go, there's no one who can hurt us here. And I think that's the big thing now in Premier League. You've got to have a good number 10 or a couple of midfielders who can hurt players, because teams are so well adjusted to each other now that even if you've got a good striker, if you can cut that ball off to him, it's pointless.
There's nothing that's going to be done.
And that's what basically happened on Sunday. They just didn't let the ball get to our strikers, and that was it. You know what I mean? Where you look at the second goal for them, again, it's horrific. I mean, I honestly don't know what Keane's doing there with Arnautovic. He just, like, my analogy was, it was like he had a tugboat pulling him round in a circle, and he said boat turn, because he just went round in this big circle, and you just like stay there, and he'll have to go. You don't need to follow him round. You just stay in your position. The shot, it was a great shot in terms of like pace and that. But I still can't figure out what the fuck Jordan Pickford was doing.
Should save it, shouldn't he? It's right at him. He should save it. And I know what you're saying about Keane for the goal as well. It made me think, actually, of, you know, when you see like a dad playing football with a kid in the park and they're standing off to let him, like, like going, oh, go on. And that's what he's like. It's just bizarre to watch, and we've seen it far too many times from him this season. And as you say, Arnautovic hits the ball really well. He gets a load of play. It's a beautiful strike, but it's one way you should go, what a strike, what a save, or you know, Pickford. He should be saving that.
I don't know whether I think goalkeepers, the best goalkeepers, don't react to where the ball's going. They react to where they think the ball's going. You know, like when you see an amazing save and you go, well, how did he save that? Like, how did his reaction get him there? It's not that they're reacting to the ball. It's because they have the experience and they know where that ball is gonna travel to. So they get into the right place at the right. That's why when you see sometimes with goalies and you go, they look stupid. It's because they've dived because they think the ball's gonna win. It's basically like a penalty, isn't it? They don't on a penalty. They dive to where they think the ball's going to go rather than when the ball goes. And I think he sort of anticipated one thing, and the other things happened, and it's made them look very stupid, and that might be because of the pace of the ball. I mean, the first one, I think he could have done a little bit better as well. I think it got highlighted on Match of the Day. And the third one, I really think he should do better on it.
He should save the third one for me. That's it. And it looks like a beautiful strike, and it is a good strike from Lanzini. But for me, I agree. He gets a touch on it, and I think he's got to get a stronger hand to it and tip that one behind the goal.
I think Coleman lets him down for that as well, because I think, not let him down, I think he lets the team down. I think Lanzini can only go one place, and that's inside. And once Coleman's let him come inside, he's only going to do one thing. He's like a bit of a Coutinho light. He's going to, he's going to whip one in.
Coutinho light.
But I think he should be doing better. I think he should have done better for all 3 goals. And listen, I'd rather be sitting here going, it's a strange one that we've seen that, because he's had a good season, obviously played the season, but he still makes mistakes because he's a young lad, and young players will make mistakes whether they are anywhere on the pitch. And certainly him, don't forget, this is his second season in the Premier League. You know, one for Sunderland and one for Everton, and he is bound to make mistakes. All goalies will. I've seen Chelsea. I think Chelsea's first goal on Saturday against Newcastle, Courtois sort of loses the ball in the air and then pushes it up and allows Gale, and you're like, there's a lad with a little bit more experience, you know, who's made a mistake. De Gea made mistakes his first 2 seasons. In fact, Sir Alex Ferguson used to drop De Gea against teams that he knew would bombard them and play Lingard, not Lingard, what's the other kid's name? The other goal, I can't remember. It used to play him in goal because of the physical aspect, and De Gea grew into it. So I'm not worried. You know, he's got to learn from these things and understand that. He's got to get it right.
He has, and you know, he'll get a bit of stick for that on Sunday, and he should have done better for all 3 of the goals, I think. But as you said, we can't forget the incredible season that he's had. Despite conceding those 3 goals, he's still made. This is the thing with him; he's still making brilliant saves almost every single game, and has done. And I think he's got nothing in front of him, has he? I mean, he must, as a keeper, be shitting himself when he looks and sees Ramiro, Funes Mori, Michael Keane, and Jags. Like, it must be terrifying for him. And I think he's composed himself really well this season with his confidence and his, you know, he's not afraid to dictate and shout and raise his voice and be animated and be a leader, and we need that, and he never hides either. He never hides, and I respect him for that.
He probably just wants a season like a quiet season. His last 2 seasons, Sunderland, and now this season, the amount of goals Everton conceded, he's had his work cut out of him. He's going to make the odd mistake. It was just unfortunate that's on Sunday. They also led to goals, but I mean, we did score. I mean, it got us back in the game. It was a lovely goal, actually. Nias's first touch was fantastic.
Brilliant.
And the way he finished it was brilliant. But before that, like, I couldn't believe Sam Allardyce took Tosin off. I just couldn't believe it. Because you're getting beat 2-0. And again, last game of the season, you're thinking, well, yeah, bring Walcott off. Bring Snidlin off. Or bring Tom Davies off.
Yeah, and that's what we were thinking.
Yeah, you know, let's get us a little bit more offensive. You know, you'd still have 2 holding midfielders on the pitch, whether you brought whoever you took off. Exactly. And then you'd have Klassen on there, a little bit more attacking impetus. At that stage, I think Davies was playing on the left.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, get Theo on, keep 2 up front, and let's have a go with these. Let's turn them round. Let's see what happens. What's the worst can happen? It's last game of the season. No. He brings fucking Tosin off, who was absolutely furious.
Yeah, which I love, by the way. I love the fact that he...
But he was looking at going, why are you taking me off?
Yeah.
Why? What was the point? Like, he was looking at going, you're getting beat 2-0, and you're taking a centre forward off for a winger. How is that good? You know,
that is Sam Allardyce for you, though, isn't it? And this is for all the people, I know yourself included, and a lot of us will get stick on Twitter about hounding Allardyce and what more do you want, and you got 8th and this and that and the other. Just, that's exactly it. We're 2-0 down away to a West Ham side who only the previous week secured their Premier League safety, and we're not having to go. We're 2-0 down and we're taking off our centre forward. It's just madness. And we saw it the week before. Who did he take off? And he put on he put Funes Mori on for taking, and that's just Allardyce for you. He's trying to protect a 2-0 loss. It's just bizarre.
Yeah, what anyone who defends Sam Allardyce, or anyone who says, well, what do Everton fans want, whether it be journalists or whether it be Everton fans, you know, I've seen there's plenty, if you go on comments and stuff on our videos, it's a bit unnerving. But the main point is that those decisions are why fans don't want Sam Allardyce, because those decisions tell us as fans that he isn't willing to risk things.
Yeah. And
you've got to risk. You've got to have risk to win. We as fans, some of us more than others, lived through like Moyes. Now Moyes had limitations because of financial limitations and stuff. Certainly in the second half of his time at Everton, and there was loads of games like that where he would make decisions like that, and it's sort of got us to where we wanted something completely different, and since we've never really been able to settle on one thing or the other.
Yeah.
But fans want that little bit of entertainment and want you to risk. And if you're getting beat 2-0, there is no risk.
Exactly.
There's no risk.
You're losing, you're going to lose. The only thing to do in terms of salvaging anything is, yeah, bring Walcott on. Walcott should have been on the pitch in the first place, as we said. But yeah, bring him on. Don't take your striker off. It's just madness. Go
and say to the opposition, right? You've just, you nailed it on the head. They saved themselves last week. They're not a great side by any means. You go and ask questions and you say, all right, well, we're going to go to a front. We're going to have Walcott. We're going to be a little bit more direct. We're going to be a little bit. We're going to get. We're going to have. We've got Klassen on the pitch. You can use the ball a little bit better. We're going to keep the shape, but we're going to be a little bit. No, we're just going to have Nias up front, Walcott running around a bit, and you're just like, what? What's the point?
No desire to win.
What's the point?
No desire to win, and that's why I liked the fact that when Cenk got subbed off, that he's like, thrown his bib down and everything, and he's visibly very annoyed at the fact he's been hooked, and because he's probably thinking that's exactly it. You've just basically said we've got no desire to win these games, and that's the case for every single game under Sam Allardyce. You get the impression, even games that we have won, it's just so happened. We just happened to win. He's not gone out and thought we're going to win this today. We'll get a 0-0, and then we'll see if we get a set play. If Michael Keane can come up and balloon a header about 6 yards too high or whatever. And that's generally been the way it's gone.
When you have on 1 or 2 shots on target. I mean, funny enough, I think on Saturday we had like 5 or 6.
We had more than them, didn't we?
So we've done all right. I think we only had 4 shots on target and they scored with 3 of them. But yeah, I mean, that's the weird thing about Sunday's game, is that defensively, which he's normally sharp on, he got wrong.
Yeah.
And then that left us exposed at the back, and then the other end he hasn't done anything there. So you wouldn't mind it as much if we'd started the game with a shape that was solid, that said to West Ham, you're not going to score today, or but we didn't. We were light at the back and we were light up front, and
yeah, because we had the chances as well, didn't we? As you said, Nias could have put us ahead. There was another one with Walcott, another at the end as well, like a double save, and it was still 3-1 at that point. But that's been the case all season, and I'm sick and tired of. I know we won't hear it anymore, thank goodness. Touch wood. Everything in this room, but we've seen that time and time again under Allardyce. Teams, we're not there to go and have a go and score, and any chances we have had to score, it's Allardyce saying we haven't taken our chances and that's why it's happened, or the keeper's made a mistake and that's why it's happened. But we just keep not taking our chances. We just keep not scoring. We just keep conceding goals. If only that's what it seems to be, doesn't it? It's any few chances that we do have, we're not capable of putting them away. Cenk Tossen's done remarkably well to score 5 goals off absolute scraps, and just think that's a positive. Just think what he could potentially be like if he's got the service going forward, because that's someone who's been given not a sniff, and any chance he does get a sniff, he's scored. I know there's been a couple that he's missed, but he's got no right to have five goals to his name, does he? With what he's been given. So yeah, chances we've had, we don't score, and we're letting in goals now for fun. We certainly were on Sunday. So there's nothing in the team under Allardyce that as Evertonians we can cling to and go, okay, well, he's done this and we've got this and this could be a plan going forward. There is none. There's no identity. There's no blueprint. It can't continue. And we've had the discussion of, if say we'd have got Marco Silva in and we had the same results as we've got under Sam Allardyce and we finished 8th, would we be pleased with that? If we'd seen some sort of structure and some sort of desire and some sort of plan, then probably, yeah, it's not the results per se, it's what we're being served up, and that is the ceiling for me of what he can do. He can't give any more than that, and unfortunately, he's come in and he's done a job. We've got 8th. Thank you very much, Mr. Sam Allardyce. Go off to Benidorm with your 6 million, have a belter of a time, but we need somebody in that's going to take this club forward, and it sure as hell is not you.
Yeah, spot on. No, that's it. I mean, listen, he came in December, without going too much about him, but he came in December, it's now May, and I don't see a definitive pattern of play. I see shape, don't get me wrong, I see shape, and I see an intention. I just don't see a pattern of play, and that's what all good teams should have. And I think in the space of 6 months, you should get some fundamental shape into a team. It's a pattern of play into a team. Shape is his fundamental. That's what he does very well. He can, but then he's touch lucky with that, with the players he's got back, like Coleman and Baines, and so I don't think that should be overemphasised. I think what he's just done is, I think he came in, put players into positions, put the right players into the right positions for the most part, and just stuck with it. And but there's no pattern of play, and I think that's what ultimately is what separates you from other teams, is how you actually move the ball. Because that's if you look at football anywhere now, it's how you move the ball. Because you take two examples, you take Man City and you take Arsenal. They fundamentally do the same things on the pitch. One does them at 100 miles an hour and one does them at 50 miles an hour, and one's won the league with 100 points and the other one's finished the season 6th. But they fundamentally do the same thing, but it's how they move the ball, and we don't do that at all. We just
I struggle to think of a worse team this season, bearing in mind we finished 8th somehow. I don't know what that says for the Premier League. Is just embarrassing, to be honest with you. But for me, we're the worst team I've watched this season on the ball. We're terrible on the ball. We don't know what to do with it. And I'm watching players, and this is what I'll say for Tom Davies as well, because he's copped a lot of stick. He never tries to hide, and I respect him for that, because he never goes missing, he never goes hiding. So even though he knows he's not had a great season and he has been struggling and his performances have been poor, they have, but he's always looking to try and make things happen and always looking to get on the ball. I watch players more recently in the latter stages of the season. I'm watching players off the ball all the time, because it's that boring to watch anyway. I'm watching the movement, I'm watching players, and there's so many players that are skulking all responsibility because they don't want the ball, because they don't know what the hell they're going to do with it. You've got Schneidel in the middle doing his usual crab dance, and it's just I can't sit through another season of it. I don't think any of us can.
No, I think what has to happen is manager comes in, gets in early, just has to define, and this is what we've missed. I know Martinez probably did it, and I know the people out there were like, oh, you're handing them out, but Martinez did define a way he wanted to play. It just didn't work, because there's this thing called defending that you need to do in football, and if he'd learned that, then he basically wanted to play cup football every game.
Oh, it's so upsetting.
I know, but he basically wanted to play cup football every game, and you can't live like that. We need a manager who's going to come in and come in to say, this is my style of play, and then every single player he goes out and buys, and this is the most important thing, works in that setup. Because Koeman came in, defined the style of play, and then went and bought out loads of random players, and it was just like, I'll have you, I'll have you, I'll have you, I'll have you. And sometimes it was like it was necessity, and sometimes it was just like, what are you doing? So a manager has to come in, define a style of play, whoever it is, and then buy players and keep players who work in that. And do you know what? Even if, God for whatever, but if players are there and we like them and they don't fit in to the system, then they're just gonna have to go.
Yeah,
it's just the way it is.
It's the way, look what's happened with Wayne Rooney, and I know that it's not been confirmed one way or the other yet. That'll come to light likely in the next 24 hours or so. But it's the same with Wayne. It's a real shame how it's gone, but I think he's one of them, regardless of Allardyce going, etc. I think he's one of those that's got to go, because we've been accommodating for him in this team, and it's meant other players are out of position and other players aren't getting a look in and stuff. So we can't have room for going, we want to keep you, like Blassie and people, they've got to go.
You can't have room for sentiment. But if there is a role for him that a manager specifies, then that's fine. I've got no problem. But I don't think there should be room for anybody in this this club for sentimentality.
Or the name, or
but that you leave that for after they finish playing. That's when But from the 11 who started this game, how many do you think will be playing first game of the season?
Coleman, Pickford, Baines. Depending on getting a left back in, Garner, Tossen, I'd like to think. For me, Niasse, it's a really tricky one, because you can't keep disregarding him because of everything he's done.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him given another season at least
Oh,
as a squad.
I don't want him leaving the
club.
club.
Definitely squad play, but you don't want him starting.
No.
You'd like to think we're going to bring in some centre forwards. We've got to. So yeah, for me, the ones that you look that aren't going to be there is Jags. There's a question mark over him. Funes Mori, I think's got to go. Balassi, I know he didn't start, but I think he's got to go. Schneiderlin, I think he's got to go. I know he's got a little bit better, but for me, too much has gone, and I think he's playing for a move. That's my personal opinion. There's hardly any. Tom Davies, big question marks about him. I'd like him to stay and grow.
Tom's an interesting one because I agree with pretty much what you've just said. I think Tom will come down to it will be defined by the style of play. Yeah. And I think if someone comes in, let's say it's Silva, who prefers a pressing style, I think Tom could fit into that. He's got the energy. It just needs to be honed in a. I think Tom Davies, his problem is he's just like he doesn't know what he is, and he hasn't got anyone showing him.
Yeah, the way he's been managed has been shocking.
But listen, there's plenty of time. I think he has to be shown a route, and he has to just be reined in a little bit, and I think a manager who likes a pressing style could do that with Tom and just get him more disciplined. It just depends what who that manager is and what he wants. So, but I think there's a couple of positions like that, like the likes of Davy Klassen could benefit from that as well. I mean, don't get me wrong, he could be the first out the door.
That's just such a strange thing, isn't it? Davy Klassen could be gone, or he could potentially, because we haven't seen him play, he could turn out to be a really prolific player for us next season. You just don't know.
You don't know, because again, as I say, it all comes down to what a new manager would want from him. There's other players. There's other players that there's players in the team at the moment that you might go, well, I want him to be there, and the manager might come in and go, well, he doesn't fit what we want to do. Like another manager might say, well, we're going to start with Nias up front and have Toshin on the bench because Nias does what I want him to do and he doesn't. That's what I'm saying. It comes down to the manager just defining his style, and I think that's all any fan wants. It's just that the manager knows which direction he wants to go in, and it's not just a mishmash of what he's got. And to be fair to Allardyce, in a way, that's what he's been left with.
Yeah,
a mishmash of everyone else's either mistakes or just players who've just been there that long. So I mean, I suppose it would be hard to create one defined direction out of that, but that's what a new manager's got to do, and that's why again I didn't want Allardyce, because it was always going to be 18 months. And do you know what? I tell you, a name has been thrown into the hat was Wenger. Right? Now, I would have no problem with Wenger, but the problem with Wenger is that Wenger's a 2-year manager. Everton need like a 5-year manager. We need someone who's going to go, I'm going to follow this all the way through.
It's a project, isn't it?
It is a project, a proper project, and there's money there. Not, alright, it's not Man City money, but there's consistent money that you get every single year, and you just have to keep it going. Whereas someone like Wenger, I just think that it's not there for a Wenger. It's not a 2 years is probably what you get out of Wenger.
Yeah.
Where we need some roots.
We do. We need a young, hungry manager. Yeah. I think that's exactly what it's got to be. You know, Wenger is one of the greatest managers that we've seen in the Premier League, and it's no disrespect to him whatsoever. It's not like oh God, I wouldn't want him at the because of what's happened at Arsenal and stuff. You know, I've got a lot of respect for him, and he's done incredible things. He changed football, didn't he, in this country? But for me, it's not the man. I completely agree with you there, Pat. We've got to bring in someone young who's looking to play attacking style of football and implement their style in this, and be given time. You know, it's frustrating. We spoke about Bobby Brown's shoes there before, and it is really upsetting because he did very much have this philosophy and this style, and he got the club and he bought into it, and you could tell he really cared, but he shot himself in the foot ultimately by not changing. You know, he just wasn't prepared to teach the team how to defend, and that was ultimately what cost him the job. But we need someone with that kind of mentality, but who's also prepared to learn how to defend as well. And
not learn how to defend, just defend. Just have a notion of our ways.
Basics, you know, basic stuff. But yeah, it's not all on Allardyce, is it? Either that's the other thing. I know he's the person who copes a lot of the grief, and I've dished it out to him because it kills me to see my club and going to watch my team play like that. It's horrible, isn't it? It drains the life out of you. But we've got to look at Koeman, Walsh, the board. They all created this mess. So it's not just Allardyce. Allardyce is a product of the mess that's been caused, and he had us over a barrel, didn't he? We wanted him for 6 months.
Listen, he knew.
He did, and he's an intelligent bloke. You know, he plays this Big Sam, but he knows exactly what he's doing. He's been around for long enough, and he knows we'd have wanted him for the 6 months, and it'd have been a completely different reaction and relationship he'd have had with the fans then as well. It'd have been, look, we know what you're here to do. Just keep us up, be on your way. But the reason it's turned so toxic and you get in the Sam Allardyce and all this sacked in the morning is because I think fans ultimately, there are some which bewilders me, that actually want to see him given time, but I think he's got to go, hasn't he? He's got to go. That's the ceiling of what he can do, and we all knew that's what he would do, and to an extent, you know, we're grateful for that, because there was a time, I say this all the time, there was a real, after that Southampton game, where I genuinely thought this could be it for us. We could get relegated this year. The panic there was real, and I think he was what we needed at that time. But going forward, I just want to get someone that we can all get behind.
You're right, and that's the crux of it. It's about having a manager who everyone buys into, because if you don't buy into a manager, at the beginning and everyone get behind, it's never going to work. It's like when I've heard people say we all need to put our thing aside and go and get Benitez, and it's like, well, it won't work, because
there's too many that don't want him.
Too many don't want him, and then as soon as there's a problem, they'll hit him, with the stick. And it was the same with Sam Allardyce. I remember the day came in, it was people was like, we're having a, and I was like, well, it's only going to be for the season. Don't be worrying about it. But those prejudices, rear the head every time there's a problem, and it'd be the same with Houllier. Houllier, no one's Houllier. It'd be the same with Benitez, and that's why it's important that.
I wouldn't surprise if we got Houllier in the way Everton's been
run. Oh, it's a brilliant young French manager.
Go on, Gerard.
No, it's just a case of everyone getting behind whoever the manager is, and because that's what was great about Martinez. It was that everyone got behind him, everyone loved him, he bought into it, and it's that two-way relationship that if you bring someone in, they've got to get behind us as well. And if that works, if it's a look at Klopp at Liverpool, for fucking hell, it's like it's horrible. It's like when you see that couple that like
post how in love they are.
Oh yeah, or all over each other in public. Like you hate it, but then you're like, well, yeah, but at least there's that. We need that relationship where it's like we're fawning all over each other. Absolutely. It might have gone a little bit too far with Martinez because he hadn't really done anything, but
that's it. It was putting him on the bloody stand, wasn't it? That was a bit excessive. I mean, one season and it was like the solo win
something and then we'll do it.
Exactly. But yeah, that's bang on. I think we look at Liverpool and we're all sickly over it, but ultimately, that's what I want for Everton. We all give them stick because they're all so behind their team and stuff, and actually isn't that what we want as well? I remember being at Goodison the 13-14 season in Gladys Street, and every single game the fans were brilliant. The School of Science chant was going around, and everybody, the 11 players on the pitch, the dugout, every single fan in Goodison, we were all on the same page together. That first season, we were all in it together. We all wanted the same thing. We were all enjoying it. It was great. And now there's so many. I've never had so many disagreements with Evertonians in my life, and that's everyone's got their own opinions, and there seems to be so many different ones, and I think everyone's just so unhappy, and it's knocked the stuffing out of us this season, and we were all just sort of turning on each other a bit, and it's horrible.
Yeah. Ultimately, you go to the match to enjoy yourself, or get away from real life or whatever, and it's not always. Listen, you don't expect to turn up to every game and it to be. To win, or but you just want everyone pulling in the right direction, and I think when that happens, and when there's when fans and when there's a synergy between club and the club and the fans, and there's a relationship, then it all works. And this is why again, when Martinez was there and Alan Myers was the on the comms, it all worked because he linked it all together, and I think there's so much that needs to return.
I'd love Alan Myers to be back in the club. I know you put a tweet out the other day, Ped, as well, about giving him his job back, and he absolutely should be, because he's somebody who knows Everton, who loves Everton, who will communicate with the fans, and the communication between the club and fans causes a lot of this toxic.
But that's it, isn't it?
Yeah,
toxicality or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't know what the word is. I'm not that clever.
That's a new one there. But yeah, it is, isn't it?
I got that off CSI.
Did you?
No, but it's just about. I mean, you know, it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be Alan Myers, of course. But what I'm saying is, it's just that synergy between the club and the fans, that everyone's on the same page, and you know, that comes from. If the fans are telling the manager to fuck off, then that's not going to be the case, is it? So, there you have it. This has been the final word of the season. Plenty more videos are coming from us. Probably about 8 daily in the next week or so. Sarah, you will hear her on the Blue Room
ranting
and raving. They're the same. They'll be non-stop because hopefully Everton will be non-stop. There's no downtime. Their downtime in the off season.
Things have got to be happening.
Transfer window opens on Thursday.
It's mad. Where's the manager? Get him out.
Get it sorted.
Get it sorted.
Let us know your thoughts in the comments anyway on anything we spoke about. We'll see you later.